Hi, we're talking about Your Money Matters on NDTV Profit, and my name is Alex Matthew. Now, credit cards, a lot of people view them as a fantastic tool to manage cash flows. They can also give you amazing rewards in the form of points. They can get you a business class trip to a location of your choice. They can get you free air tickets. They can get you free movie tickets and everything besides. But the dark side of that is that if you go overboard, there is a potential to slip into a debt spiral. And incidentally, based on the data that Cliff Highmark has pulled up, there's a substantial increase in the overdue amount for credit cards between 90 days and 365 days. This is essentially when they become non-performing assets. And that number stands at 34,000 crore rupees at the end of March, and the increase is of as much as 44% over the course of the last financial year. Joining me now in the studio to talk about some of the trends that are emerging is Sachin Seth, who's the chairman of Cliff Highmark. Sachin, thanks so much for taking the time.
Hi Alex, my pleasure.
That number seems very alarming. Anecdotal evidence does come through, people saying, hey, you know what, I have too much of credit card debt. They're paying their minimum due amount, but there's a significant overdue that they have, and this is piled up. How has it come to this?
Yeah, so Alex, if you see, the credit card is one of the means of unsecured loans, what people use. And if you look at the situation in last about a year or so, I think many of the loans categories have had a bit of a stress. So credit card is also one of them. And if I give you the overall statistics, see there are about 11 crore cards in the market.
Right.
Total outstanding is ranging about 3.7 lakh crore. Now, as you rightly said, it was around 30,000 crore as of last year. But this year has increased significantly. And one of the reasons for that is obviously because the stress is there in the unsecured loans in other portfolios as well, right? So credit card also happens to be one of the type of categories which people are spending, but they are finding it difficult to pay back because of various reasons. So that's where it has gone up quite substantially.
So, but let's talk about this, because the data that you pulled up also seemed to suggest that card companies or issuing companies, banks, are reducing the number of cards that they send out. So on the one hand, there are fewer cards being issued, but the usage of credit cards is still going up. So it's actually quite interesting that people are spending more on the cards that they already have, and new issuances are not taking place. Why is this happening?
Yeah, so see, as I mentioned that, card is an unsecured product from loan category perspective. So there has been, because of delinquencies increasing, most of the lenders have become very cautious, and as part of the cautious approach what they have taken, and even regulator has advised being cautious on unsecured lending. So from that perspective, companies are become more stringent about whom they give the card, and they are doing a better underwriting at this moment. They are trying to contain the risk as much as possible in the new issuance, and that's why the new issuance has gone down by about 27%. And but yes, there has been another category of card coming in the market, which is called secured card backed by FD. So that is something, a new phenomena which is evolving.
These are credit cards.
These are credit cards, but the people who do not have as a strong credit score or credit history, what they can do is that they can actually put a FD in the bank and get a credit card which they can use it so that the bank is secured. So that tomorrow if they are not able to pay back, then bank can dip into the FD.
So I'm sure that you've collected a lot of granular data here. So anything to add color to this is that in these instances where there are delinquencies or there are people that are overdue on their payments, are there instances where people have multiple types of debt, and this credit card debt is only one of those? So for example, they have a mortgage, they have a loan on a car, they have a loan on electronics, and they have a credit card. Is that the situation?
Yeah, that's normally the case. So if you see when anybody is issued a credit card, the person needs to have a certain level of credit history. Then only banks are comfortable giving the card to them, because they understand that what's the payment behavior in the past. So naturally, the person would have had...
I'm talking about concurrent.
Concurrent. Yeah, I'm talking about that. So I'm coming to that. So basically, which means that people are in the category of taking multiple types of loans. They could have at this moment certain personal loans, consumer durable loans. They could have, auto loans, or they could have basically the loan against property, or let's say a housing loan, right? So definitely most of these players, 50% at least, we see that they would have some other loans, right? Now, question is that which loan they will default will depend on multiple factors, right? So in case of credit card, they obviously have option to revolve or pay minimum balance, etc.
But the interest still accumulates.
Interest accumulates. Yeah, there's a it's a highest interest rate product. And but yes, it's not that they would not have other products, and it is not necessarily that if they are defaulting a credit card, they will not default on other products.
Sure.
There could be a simultaneous default also.
But the fact that and the data that you pointed out, right? So up to 30 days, 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90 days, and 90 and beyond is how you look at it.
Yeah.
And 90 and beyond is when it becomes a bad loan, right? When it becomes a non-performing asset.
Yes.
And what you have actually witnessed is that there's a substantial increase in the 90 plus category,
yes.
which seems to suggest, correct me if I'm wrong, when you're talking about credit card usage, people have revolved till the point where they can't afford even that minimum payment, and it's gotten too big to handle. Is that the right understanding?
That's correct. So basically, they've reached a situation wherein it's gone beyond 90 days in terms of default, and basically lenders are now in the process of, they have classified as per NPA, as per the nomenclature, and at the same time, they must be in the process of engaging with those borrowers to see how they settle.
Yeah.
Or how
no,
they
but
recover.
I want to clarify. When you pay the minimum due, it's not a default.
It's not a default, but yes, but it does, impact it does show into your credit history point of view.
Sure.
But yeah, it's not a default.
So, but then what we're talking about, 90 plus days, this is overdue with not having paid that minimum due, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're not paying.
They're not paying at all. They're not paying at all.
So
therefore, it's important to make that classification. So from your perspective, in terms of good credit behavior, is it always a good idea to pay the entire credit amount and not have that minimum due that is used to circulate credit?
Well, absolutely, and I would go one step forward and say that do not use your credit cards unless in exceptional situation to a max out limit. So one should use the credit card judiciously. One should have a limited number of cards what you can really manage. And if you,
I want to stop you there because a limited number of cards to manage is an important question. I wanted to come to that later in the conversation, but now that you said it, you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people go out and try to get the best possible cards.
Yes.
You have social media videos saying this is the best possible card for rewards, and everybody wants that card. So you end up having 3, maybe 4 credit cards, and that's pretty normal. Even for somebody who is relatively risk averse, they'll be like, okay, fine, I need that air miles, right? So what have you witnessed in the data? Has that borne out a lot of people having multiple cards?
See, having multiple cards is a very common phenomena, because once you are entitled or eligible to get a card from a bank, you typically are entitled or eligible to get it from other bank also. Now the question is that when I said that one should be judicious enough to basically have number of cards, is that the more cards you take, it shows as your basically the line of credit. Right? Which means the bank has offered you a line of credit. It could be 2 lakh rupees, it could be 5 lakh rupees based on your income, what they've done a calculation. So the more you have, it shows that you are credit hungry, which is obviously not a good sign beyond a point. And second point is that if you are using the card to a higher limits always, it shows that you are stretching it. Basically, your credit requirements.
You're maxing it.
Your credit requirements are higher, and that's where.
What is the definition of overusage?
See, when you say if you are using around 30 to 40%, a credit card is reasonably normal phenomena. But if you start going to 70 or 80% in every month, see if it happens like couple of months in a year, etc., it's fine, because then you may have to buy something which is on a festive period or something which you would like to specifically take from a particular card. That's fine. But if you start using card for a higher utilization all the time, then definitely it reflects that you are basically in the need of higher credit. And that is where the balance has to be there, that how much you use the credit card versus other means of taking the loans. And that's where, so these are some of the things which does impact from credit behavior perspective. But coming back to the point, the people who, like your question you had, is that the people who have credit card, will they have other loans? Absolutely. Chances are very high. Will they be defaulting on some of the loans? That's also a possibility.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so and then a follow-up to that. You said multiple credit cards. There is a perspective that if you are closing out on a credit card, they can impact your credit score negatively because you're closing out a credit line, a line of credit. Is that true?
Not necessarily. I mean, see, first of all, the credit score is built of multiple parameters. Every parameter has a certain weightage. Certain weightages are for the, the credit limits what you have, and certain weightages are for the type of repayments you are doing on time. So I would say if you have a larger number of cards, let's say 8 cards, and you close 2 cards or 3 cards, it won't not negatively impact. In fact, it could be a positive side to show that you don't want to have.
So question to you: there is good practice when you're managing credit. How many cards is too many? How many cards is okay?
Well, it's a very individual, assessment because if somebody has, let's say, higher income, if person falls in a high net worth individual category and the person has a substantially high income, person can afford to have 4 or 5 or 6 cards very comfortably and could have the limits there because assessment is done accordingly. But if a person is a young person who has just started career and probably is in the early stage of his career, then probably the person should not have too many. Then the person should start with 1, maybe 2, and then build their score, build their repayment profile, and then they should look forward to have higher income and the more credit cards.
And the final piece of advice, because you look at a lot of these situations when you're trying to get rid of this loan, or you're trying to repay in a situation where you defaulted, and it's credit card debt. It's the most expensive kind of debt. 40+% is what you're paying on an annual basis. How do you get rid of that?
Well, I mean, the best thing is that engage with your lender. Discuss with them your situation. Figure out a way that you settle it. Because most of the lenders also do not want to carry NPA or provisions on their book, right? So they would also be forthcoming, and there are means to, address that. But definitely anything you settle or anything you basically not pay definitely will impact your credit history. But engaging with lender and settling it would be the best way to really come out of the situation.
All right. Thanks so much for joining me today. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Alex, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.